People can join as they will. Good evening, everybody. I am Nancy Stafford. I'm the principal at Sandown North, and we're excited to have you join us. I'm going to start by just quickly introducing folks, and you'll be hearing from them tonight during our presentation. Guys, I'm just going on what I see. So I'm going to start with Samantha Houlihan. She is our school counselor. Give a wave, Sam. Cami Douglas is one of our first grade teachers. Megan Guanci is our assistant principal and curriculum coordinator. Callie O'Sullivan is one of our other first grade teachers. Jen Robinson, first grade teacher. Jen McDonough is one of our first grade teachers. She is our teacher of our remote students this year. And Jen Teitelbaum is one of our special educators. Ken Henderson is here. He's our district technology director. He's here making sure there are no issues with this Zoom webinar tonight. So we really appreciate him joining us. Couple things I just wanted to mention. Well, we are going to have questions and answers, time for that at the end. There is a chat. I think it looks like a Q&A that you can type things in if you'd like. If you think you might forget, we might hold off answering it till the end, because as we go along, we hope many of your questions will be answered, but we'll have plenty of time at the end. And you can just raise your Zoom hand at the bottom. Is it if they go under participants? I have a different screen, Ken, that they'll see the hand raise, or?
No, it should be right at the bottom, just says raise hand.
Oh, okay, I don't have that. I can raise mine. So we don't see any of you, but you see us and we can see your name. So we'll really try to monitor that. And as I said, certainly raise your hand if anything as we're going along. You need something clarified, but otherwise we'd like to ask that you try and hold off till the end for questions and answers. I just wanted to start by telling you a little bit about our school. And Meg is gonna start by sharing our presentation. I wanna welcome you all tonight. This is my 20th year in Timberlane. It's my 19th year at Sandown North, because Sandown North next year, it's going to be 20 years that the building was built. It's the newest school in the district. And I have been involved with the incoming first grade parent night. For a while, we had kindergarten with us, so it was incoming kindergarten night. But this first grade parent night, I have been involved with for 20 years. Because prior to becoming an administrator, I was the school counselor. And just as Mrs. Houlihan is joining us tonight, I always joined. But I must say, this is a first, having it set up this way. We've never done it via Zoom. So I do need to tell you, it's a little awkward. I feel like I can't see any of you, and I'm a person that likes to kind of read the crowd. So anyway, I'm not gonna be telling any funny jokes tonight, because I'm not gonna see if how they go over. So anyway, I'm sure that there are some familiar faces out there. If you have children currently in our building or had been in our building previously, I hope there are a lot of new faces. Again, we're really looking forward to next year and getting a chance to get to know your kids and all of you. I am so lucky to have an incredibly dedicated, talented, committed staff who are going to be such a wonderful support and benefit. They're also committed to your child's success, so please know that. When our building first opened in 2000, we were just 1 through 3. We didn't have kindergarten yet. That came a little later. Then we became K through 3, and at that time, 4th and 5th graders went to Sandown Central. And then 6 years ago, okay, it was Sam's first year, so she remembers that. We combined our our school, and it became, we had our kindergartners move over to Central, and we became a 1 through 5 school. And the Timberlane Learning Center is, as you know, at Sandown Central. So there's been a lot of changes. We love that we have 1 through 5 and have the siblings together. That's really fun to see. And there have been a lot of changes over the years, but some things have certainly remained the same. Important traditions that we have, and a lot of certainly this year has brought some changes. But I did want to go on to our next slide that shows our mission statement, which is challenging learners to succeed in a respectful environment. We are very well staffed in our building. We're super fortunate with that. We have our school counselor, although we'd love to have more. We have a school psychologist. We share our UAs, our Unified Arts teachers, which is actually a nice thing for your kiddos, because many of those teachers, Mrs. Belli, Mrs. Linehan, Mrs. Yankowskis, Mrs. DeCristofaro, Mrs. Ross, Mrs. Bruce, are working this year in both buildings. So it's nice for your kiddos. They come over and they see some familiar faces. We also have occupational therapists, speech pathologists, special educators, and sure, we have our literacy specialist, Mrs. Dipio, and we just feel, we have a full-time school nurse, Mrs. Healy, who couldn't join us tonight, but I have some notes that she wanted to make sure I shared later on. So we are well staffed, we have para educators, and we feel like we're just, we work very closely together, and we work closely with Sandown Central as well, because we know that's what's best for kids. So we're going to be giving you a brief overview tonight of what you can expect, and some pictures as well, since you're not able to come in person.
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of start off sharing with all of you is our star. And Sandown North, we follow the North Star, and that was something that was started when the school was developed 20 years ago. If you haven't read the book, The North Star by Peter Reynolds, I highly recommend it, because that was what sort of shaped Sandown North. And, when your kiddos come into the building, they're going to see some artwork from the book along the way as well. So, we always come back to our STAR, and our STAR is an acronym for safe, trustworthy, always respectful, and responsible. And between our classroom teachers, our school counselor, Nancy Stafford, and myself, special educators, we all kind of come back to that with our students. So, when we see a student doing something that, either is really wonderful and following their STAR, they're going to be recognized for that. And what you'll notice again when you enter the building, one of the first things is the recognition board that Mrs. Stafford does, where she recognizes students for their STAR behaviors. And those are students who are nominated by staff throughout the building for being safe, trustworthy, always respectful, and responsible. And if a student is having some trouble with that, having a tricky time, we come back to that and talk about, okay, like, was that a safe behavior, and why it was important. So that's language that we use at the school. We always love having that communication kind of carry out through home as well, because it's really impactful. And our grade 1 team, I'm going to just again reiterate who they are. So Cami Douglas, Jen McDonough, Callie O'Sullivan, and Jennifer Robinson. And they're going to share with you what I think you all really wanted to come here to hear about today. So a day in the life of a Sandown first grader.
Right. I'm Mrs. Robinson. I'm going to be up first, kind of walking you through our day. And the first thing we like to talk to incoming first graders and parents about is our backpack. Our backpack is super important for a first grader. We usually, when back to school stuff comes out at the stores, we want to look for like that medium-sized backpack, something that can hold our lunchbox, our snack, a really durable water bottle, has folder, and also room for maybe a small change of clothes. We suggest that once you guys have those things, kind of like when school starts, let's have a routine, have your child be independent, have them be responsible for maybe packing their backpack the night before. Okay, I have my folder in there. I have my water bottle maybe ready to go in the morning. Practice zipping up the zippers, because first grade, we want them to be independent and unzip their backpack, and they will have to hand in their folders in the morning. So it's helpful for us if you guys have that routine at home. When they come back from school and they come home, make them unpack their backpack, take out their folder, put their lunchbox on the counter. It's just some things that makes them feel independent and also gets them ready to be an independent first grader.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Sullivan. I'm up next. So I'm going to talk about coming into the school building. We have car riders, we have bus riders. We would love if you're close by next year to walk or ride a bike to school. Our school day starts at 8:30. The kids start coming in at 8:20. They come into the classroom. Make sure to check. It's usually late August by the time that they get those bus schedules out, but make sure that your child knows their bus number. That's really important too for us. And it's important if they're going to take the bus to do it the first day so that they're in the routine, they're learning how to navigate to the classroom. The first couple of days, we have a lot of extra staff members outside, inside, helping direct. That's one of the biggest things for the first graders. That's usually a worry getting to the classroom. And we also have fourth grade in the same hallway as us. So they are also really helpful about who's your teacher, where are you going, and they can drop them off. For car, if you've been to our building, hopefully in the summer, if you haven't been, you can come by and use the playground, but in the back by the playground is where the car riders come in. And there's always staff members out there, and you'll know they'll start right at 8:20. So I think that's it for car.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about what the kids are eating throughout the day and the importance of that. So it's really, really important that kids try to eat breakfast before coming to school. I actually have a daughter who doesn't like to eat breakfast. I have to encourage her, but it makes such a difference in her day. You know, making sure that their brains are ready to learn, that they have the energy and the stamina to pay attention throughout the day. We have a mid-morning snack, but it tends to feel late for first graders, and a lunch that tends to feel late for first graders. So especially the first few days, it's really, really important that they come with the right kind of fuel in their bodies. That and a really good night's sleep. That is so, so important for the kids to be able to get into a routine, get to bed on time, get a full night's sleep so they're rested and ready. We are very busy in first grade. We keep them moving all day long. They are not in their seats all day. In my class, we dance, we do yoga, we move all the time. We go outside, you know, and I know the other classrooms do that too. So we're constantly moving, so they definitely need good fuel in their bodies. So mid-morning, each class has snack time. So you'll want to make sure that they have packed a healthy snack and a drink for snack time. We want it to be something that's easy for them to choose and easy for them to open and easy for them to eat. First grade, we end up with a lot of toothless children because we have a lot of tooth fairy visits. So we want it to be something that they can bite into. I've had many years where kids are trying to eat an apple, but they don't have that front teeth to eat them. So you just want to make sure it's something that they can access easily. Pack utensils if needed. We really don't have a lot of supplies for that, so it's easier if they have that on their own. And something that they can eat in a timely manner. We want to make sure they don't have 8 snacks to choose from, maybe just a few really good, healthy, hearty snacks that you've all agreed on that you know that they will eat, and that it's healthy and it sticks with them for a good amount of time.
I muted again, I'm sorry. So Jen McDonough, I'm going to talk a little bit just about lunch and recess. So in a typical year, we use the cafeteria. All the kids in first grade will eat lunch together in the cafeteria. This year obviously was a little bit different with students eating in the classroom. As we get closer to starting out next year, we'll figure out what's going to work best. But we have plans for either way we need to go for next year. Lunchtime is about 20 to 25 minutes, so the kids do get a good chunk of time to eat. And then recess follows right after. So students can either bring their own lunch from home, or they can certainly buy lunch at school as well. We have a lot of students who kind of do both. And at the beginning of the year, we really show the kids how they can go ahead and buy their lunch. I know that sometimes a first grade worry when they come to school, they don't know how to get the lunch, but we show them, we guide them through. In the morning, actually before snack, I know a few of us, maybe all of us, will actually model what this looks like right around snack time. So when the kids are kind of getting ready for snack, we actually practice. We'll go down, we'll pretend we're getting hot lunch just to walk through so everybody has seen it. Even the kids that bring their lunch to school, they'll get to see it too. So if there's ever a day that they decide, oh, you know what, I really think I want the pizza today, they'll know what to do. So, and we always have staff down there as well, kind of guiding the line and helping them make their choices for lunch and to grab all the utensils and things that they need. So I know it's a worry for first graders, but they really, after a day or two, they are fine. They're fine with it and they know what to do. So fairly simple. So as we're kind of talking about, a day in the life of a first grader, there's a lot of things that we do. So students will come into school. Typically we start with unpacking the backpacks, as Jen was talking about. We try to guide them to be very independent with unpacking their own things, kind of getting ready to start their morning. And I think all of us start with some kind of morning work or morning seat activity at their tables, whether it's reading or games or activities. So they kind of come in and they settle and they can chat with each other. Usually we kind of, get some of that out of their system. They haven't seen their friends in a little while, so we'll chat. And then we kind of get into our day. We'll do a morning meeting where we share things, we play games, we learn each other's names. We really set up a nice classroom community. That's our time in the morning that we all spend, and we make sure that we have the time with the whole class. And it's wonderful setting up that classroom community time. So that's what our morning meeting is all about. We'll talk about the day. We might talk through the calendar. If students have special things that are going on, that's a great time to share with us. And then we get into the learning times of our day. So we do things like word work, social studies, science, math, writing, reading. We'll do guided reading where we actually group students and are able to work at their ability level and what they're capable of doing. We have our specials throughout the day that we'll talk about in just a little bit. We have time obviously for lunch and recess and snack. And throughout the year, we have time that we actually go to the school library as well. So students will have a lot of chances to visit the library and check out books. So this is kind of just a peek inside the classroom. There's so much that we could tell you about what we do and the curriculum pieces. Those could all be, things that we kind of talk about as we start the first grade year, but just to kind of give you an overall kind of look at what our day might contain.
So next year, our specials will be PE, library, art, music, and technology. And Mrs. Stafford stole my fire here. I was going to say that it's so great that they have all those teachers this year and that they'll recognize them this coming year. So your teacher will the classroom teacher will give you a schedule for your child. They should have one day for PE a week, one day for library, and so forth. So yeah, they'll know all 5 of those teachers. We're so fortunate. We have a huge library with lots of books, lots of options. We have Mrs. Ross, who is wonderful with helping us to find resources. And then we have our gym where PE takes place. And when it's nice out, Mrs. D likes to bring them outside too. So get them moving.
All right, so that's me. Like Mrs. Stafford said, I'm Samantha Houlihan. I'm the school counselor, and In a typical school year, I would be going into the classroom once a month to talk mainly about emotion management and problem solving steps. Those are kind of my main focus in a typical year. I usually incorporate a book, some mindfulness strategies, and different activities to get the kids moving. It has looked a little different this year. Not to say I haven't been busy doing other things, but I definitely am available for lunch bunches, check-ins. I'm kind of all over the building, kind of doing a little bit of everything, but very excited to get to know your children, and just kind of wanted to say a quick hello and a quick kind of understanding of my role in the building to help them get through their school day, whether there's a peer conflict or just maybe some emotional, especially at the beginning of the school year. I know there's quite a few kiddos that can have a trickier time with the transition, and I like to be that friendly, safe person that they can come to and talk to, and just kind of help them, guide them through their day. So I look forward to meeting all of you soon.
So this is Mrs. Healy, our school nurse. She wasn't able to join us, but a couple things. First of all, those of you who have kiddos at TLC, she works very closely with the nurse there. And there is a transition of files that will come. And certainly if you have specific questions for her, she wanted me to let you know you may feel free to reach out to her now, calling our school or sending her an email, which you can find on our website. And she's happy to have conversations with you about any medical concerns you may have for your children. If you're new to the district, then you will need, so your child wasn't at TLC last year or within the Timberlane district, we will need a new updated medical form. And she just also wanted to remind me that when your students have physicals, it needs to be within 12 months, the physical that she has on file. And if you can please see if it also includes a vision and hearing exam from the pediatrician, that's super helpful. So anyway, if your child's in Sandown North, at Sandown Central now, you're all set. In the summer, you'll be getting some more registration materials that all our students throughout the district get every year. If you're at TLC, those are the forms you'll fill out. Your child is already enrolled in the district at TLC, and those files just come right over to us.
All right, I'm speaking next. This is Lindsay Walters and Victoria Polito. They're our occupational therapists here at Sandown North, and they play such a huge role at our school, assisting students throughout the building. And we're so lucky in first grade that their room is actually right next to mine. But they support us by having movement stations throughout our school and inside of our classroom. And they come around and just kind of check to make sure the desk height is correct and all the kids' pencil grip is, in the right spot. And they just kind of give us, that assistance that we need. But your children will be recognizing these faces because they will be in their wing and they'll be coming in and kind of helping us out, and they'll go over also how to do those movement stations in our class and throughout the buildings. So I think that's about all there is for them.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one of the reasons why we bring them up. We do have our students who are on IEPs under special education who may receive occupational therapy through with these two women. But it's also important to know we're so fortunate in that they're available to all our teachers and are a wonderful resource. And we do, they give us so many great ideas. So they're, some buildings, they're kind of in a silo and only if your child requires OT, but they believe very strongly. They have so many great ideas and tips and things to share. So they're, that's been a big help to us.
I was going to say I work very closely with them and we're all kind of constantly in communication and collaboration with one another. So it really works very fluidly. So we're definitely lucky. I agree.
So I'd like to introduce to you our office staff. We are so incredibly fortunate to have these two amazing women who really, quite frankly, organize and keep us all on task. Mrs. Hallisey and Mrs. Skinner. So Mrs. Hallisey, if you're calling your child in, putting them into pickup patrol, you're likely going to interact with Mrs. Hallisey throughout the course of the year because she deals with all of our attendance pieces. She helps us with some of our busing pieces as well. And then Mrs. Skinner is also in the front office. She really keeps Mrs. Stafford and myself like on schedule. And, she's just they're both such a wonderful team. Students love coming into the front office to say hi to them. We encourage your first graders to come in and say hi. They each try to do their best to make connections with students. Mrs. Halsey even goes into some of our first grade classrooms this year, and she does kind of like a fun little 3-minute dance party with some of our classes to kind of get them moving around. And the kids really look forward to it because they each get to pick a song, throughout the course of the year that they get to dance to and stuff. So it's really nice. They are wonderful, wonderful women. If you ever need anything at all, reaching out to them is always a great way to start contact.
They'll know if they can't answer your question, which most likely they can. They'll know who to direct you to. The other thing I wanted to mention was Sharon Skinner is our registrar as well. So any questions about that, she's the one.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our Monday morning meeting. So in a typical year, we begin most weeks together at a Monday morning meeting, which you could compare to kind of like a whole school assembly, but ours is different than a whole school assembly. That's the closest thing I could compare it to. In a typical year, community members and parents are invited to attend. This year, we pre-recorded, or not say we, Mrs. Ross and Mrs. Stafford helped the kids pre-record the versions of our Monday morning meeting for all the classrooms to be able to see. Fifth graders serve as hosts and they run the meeting, which is a great honor for them. They do a fabulous job. They're well practiced and prepared, and they do an incredible job with that. And it's really neat for the first graders to look up to them as role models, hosting those meetings. So it really sets the tone for the school week for our school, in a sharing environment. And whether it's in person or whether it's remote, it really brings us together as a village, as a community, which is really nice. So it starts with a transition out of our classrooms. We usually have a grade level song. So we file down to the I want to say stage area, to the to the big room where we go to. And then we start with a welcome and the Pledge of Allegiance as a school, which is really nice. And then, Mrs. Stafford and the host will talk to the kids about different school events that are going on, different updates. Different children come up and staff members come up to do special sharing, which is really nice. We've had some kids come up and sing and show karate and dance and maybe show off some really incredible work that they've been doing, which is really nice, writing pieces. There's also a lot of encouragement to keep up with our STAR behaviors. So we might have different presentations on safety, on trustworthiness, and being respectful and responsible in our school, and the importance of that, whether it's in school, whether it's on the bus, or whether it's on the playground. It's really important for us to kind of revisit that and get the kids excited about doing a good job with that. Sometimes we have guests, like you would imagine at a regular assembly. We've had community members such as firefighters and police officers, and we've even had people bring in animals, and do presentations like that, which is really cool. Different community members that have come in and shown off their talents. And then we usually end with our Sandown North School Pledge, which all of us can recite by heart now. I still wow my family when I can just rattle that off. So by the end of first grade, your first graders will be able to say it by heart as well, which is really neat. And then we usually end with some kind of fun music. So it's really nice. The kids, go in energized, and they leave with a really nice sense of community, belonging to the school. One other thing that's really important for our first graders that we practice before we start going to Monday morning meeting is we start to teach them how to be a quality audience member. So how to come in respectfully, how to, have the listening whole body language, and, really, not just listen, but think and use their minds and their hearts to really embrace what everyone's sharing at Monday morning meeting.
And I just want to say we always get, people always comment when they come in because guest speakers at what a nice job the kids do, because they learn what audience behavior looks like. And it's important. Last year we had a famous speaker. We had Miss New Hampshire come, who actually is a Sandown North alum. So that was really, really cool, Sarah Tubbs. So that's my little shout out to Sarah.
All right, I'll be talking to parents. You guys are such an important part of our Sandown community and Sandown North. I know in a typical school year, we love our volunteers. This year, we weren't able to have any volunteers into the school, and I know a lot of us missed you guys so much. But PTA is still going strong. So in a typical year, volunteer is so helpful. There is a volunteering application that you do need to fill out through the SAU. There is fingerprinting involved and references. So it is quite a process. If you want to volunteer, it can't be just like, I'm volunteering and you come in the next day. It does take a little bit of time. So if that's something that will be allowed next year and you're interested, I would get on that as soon as you hear about it. And volunteering in various ways. It could be copying, it could be, coming into the classroom, maybe running a center or stuffing the folders. You guys are a very important part, and we definitely miss you. And don't forget to join the PTA. I believe Lucinda Quinney is still in charge of PTA, if I'm correct, right? Am I right with that? Yes. So she's someone to contact too.
Next year, Kristen Gondolfo will be our president, I believe.
So she would be someone to contact if PTA is something that's interesting for you and you have the time.
And just another, if people are interested in joining PTA, please join. We have, they're going to be voting on officers for next year. We don't have a lot of people who want to be an officer, and if you don't, that's okay. We just love to have you join. It's a super nice group. We've been meeting via Zoom, which actually has turned out nice. You don't have to leave your home. So I'm not sure if we'll be continuing with that next year, but if you're interested for now, you can certainly let me know or reach out to Lucinda Quinney, who's our current president.
And then just one last plug I'm going to throw out there to parents. We're also always looking for substitutes. So, if you want to come in and help and earn some money at the same time, we would love to have you. It's the, again, similar process. You do have to apply. Fingerprinting is involved. But, we've had some really wonderful parents substitute for us this year. And it's been such a wonderful experience, I think, for everyone involved. So, love to get you in the building any way we can.
And we don't put you into your child's class. And typically we try not to even put you in the same grade level. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you. Even if you don't think you'll qualify, there is a link. I know you can't access it right now, but we're going to create it so a PDF so that you are able to click on the link. It really is important, and you never know if you'll qualify or not. This year, lunches were all free, actually. I've heard rumblings that maybe next year as well, but we're really encouraging people to still fill out the form. What it does is it also helps increase the support we can give students through our Title I program, which is one of our really important interventions to help students in the area of reading and math.
So when we were preparing for tonight, we chatted together, and our literacy specialist was involved in the conversations. And we really wanted to, put it out there and really remind parents that how important reading really is. So Mrs. Diffia was our literacy specialist, and she created a wonderful resource for parents. As Nancy said, we're going to have some kind of PDF that will have the links, and it will have this one as well. And she just has a really great resource here for parents to go for ideas for reading and ways you can help your child practice. And it's really just because, I can't even stress, like, it's so important that children are reading. And over the course of first grade, you're going to notice that your child is reading better and better and better. And we don't want you to forget that you can still read with your kids. Like, even though they're getting really good and you probably want them to read to you, still read to them. Like, they love hearing you read. They hear the tone of your voice. They hear the fluency, the way you're reading. All of those pieces are still so important. So of course you can have your child read to you, but it is equally as important, if not more so, that you are reading to your children every night. Children are made readers on the laps of their parents is the best quote that Amy could put in here, because it really is true. Like, the more we read to our kids, the better that they're going to become as readers. So we really wanted to put that out there as a reminder. Just continue to read, no matter how good of a reader your child is becoming. Still read to them. I still read to my fourth grader. When I pull out books with my daughter, who's in first grade right now too, and he joins us, and he just loves it. He's a great reader, but just hearing parents read to them, kids love it. Mrs. Diffie also wanted me to mention the Sandown Library. The summer reading program is another way that you can, really get into a lot of books and go to the library and check out lots of things. And the summer reading program really inspires the kids to keep reading all summer. And you can really help to kind of prevent that summer slide. So, in between the grade levels, there's those months where kids maybe aren't reading as much. We sometimes see a summer slide where they kind of slide back just a little bit before they start the new school year. And keeping up with reading is just a way to help prevent that. So to just keep them reading.
And on that note, things to have at home, do at home. This is a conversation I have a lot. I know at my first conference during the year, usually in October, November, about ways to help at home, reinforce skills, practice. A lot of you probably already have a lot of these items here on the list because of the year that we had this year. But just the importance of playing dice games, making up dice games, using decks of cards, adding, subtracting, which number is bigger, which number is smaller, or putting out all your cards and saying, let's find ways to make 10. There's so many ways to use dice and decks of cards for math. Whiteboard and dry erase markers. I'm sure if your child was remote at any time this year, their teacher used dry erase markers and whiteboards for everything. And then just those important skills, coloring, cutting, glue sticks, the fine motor, especially after all the typing and the iPads, they need those fine motor skills when they come into first grade. And then just always having blank paper, lined paper at home for stories, drawing, grade level appropriate books. That one's hard. I know a lot of times at that first conference, parents say, what should they be reading? They're not reading these books that I have at home. And we can give you hopefully more examples of those when the school year starts, of what's best and where your child is. And then last is the library card. If your child doesn't already have one, put that on your to-do list for the summer. Check out the Sandown Library, get a library card, because as Mrs. McDonough said, the reading is just reading, being read to, getting excited about books is huge. So think that's everything.
Mrs. Douglas had mentioned that we use the book, The North Star, as our school's guiding theme. It's been 20 years that we've been using it. And basically, it's a story about being on a journey and the different paths we take and folks that help us along the way. And we just think it's a really, it's just so fitting. And we are the Sandown North Stars. And each year we have themes. The past couple of years, our theme has been We Are the Village. I'm not sure what it might be next year, but it just ties in with the whole idea of the book that, yep, we're all on different journeys, but there's a lot of people and support to help us along the way. The last page in the book is one of my favorites. Because it says the beginning, and whenever we read it to kids, I used to read it to kids when I was the school counselor each year, and I'd say, what do you think the last page is going to say? And they'd all say the end, and then I say the beginning, and they get it. They get that each year we start a new journey. All of us, I've been here 20 years, and let me tell you, every year's a new journey, and there's new beginnings. That's what I think as educators, we really love and cherish. We have these amazing years, and that there is a beginning and there is an end to them. And then we start again. So we really welcome you all to our Sandown North community. We are thrilled to have you. And we did want to make sure we had some time for questions. I did see one question that came through the Q&A, which was a great one, asking if children in the past, what we've done is we've had the kindergartners come visit, and they've spent time with the teachers, which in a first grade classroom, and gone through the lunch line. They get a little snack and they go on the playground. At this point, we are not able to do that. I'm not ruling anything out, but at this point, it isn't something that we're able to do. That being said, if we're not able to bus them over, as we have in the past, I'm letting people know, and please spread the word. I'm there the majority of the summer, as is Mrs. Guanci, and we'd love to have you, probably give a call first just to make sure, but we'd love to have you stop in with your child, and they might even get to meet one of our dogs, or because sometimes we sneak them in. Don't tell Mrs. Healy in the summer, but we encourage you to stop by the school, visit our playground, just take a look around. And this year our kiddos weren't able to come in, and they really they did I think they've just did a great job, and it was nice how we worked first and second graders in slowly, and they were the first ones who were in 4 days a week, and then eventually 5. So now we want to open it up to any of you to ask questions. I know it's a lot of information.
Mrs. Stafford, we have another question about, will Spanish lessons be offered at all, or was it voted out? So our FLES program has been ended at the end of this year. And unfortunately, we will not be able to offer that. I do know that there's some teachers who are going to try to incorporate it a little bit here and there, but nothing comparable to what we currently have.
Yeah. Can students have peanut butter nut products? If they cannot, your class will receive a letter from the nurse stating that there is a child in the classroom and that it is a nut sensitive room, so that they will not be able to bring in peanut food with peanut ingredients. We also have in the cafeteria a peanut free table that students, so they can bring it in for lunch, but for their snack, a student couldn't bring, if they're in a class with a child with a peanut allergy, couldn't bring a peanut item in for snack. I don't know, first grade teachers, if you have anything else to add. It hasn't seemed to,
No, I mean, my daughter has a nut allergy, and there's a lot of choices out there now. I think probably 10 years ago, there wasn't. There are so many like nut-free choices now. There even are certain granola bars that are like completely nut-free or made in nut-free facility, but goldfish are always great. Fruits and vegetables like Cami talked to earlier. You know, cheese sticks. I know that's a big hit in my class this year is the cheese. So like cheese sticks, apple slices, like anything like that. Pretzels, there's tons of choices. So you can always ask me because, you know, I'm a pro at that with my daughter having it of choices, but there's a lot of things out there that are able if you are in a nut classroom or a nut-free classroom.
So we have more questions coming in. I think I'll kind of read them and then people can kind of chime in as they'd like. So the first one that came in was, for children who weren't at TLC this year, is there any first grade testing that they'll need to sign up for?
no, we don't have any kind of first grade screening.
The next question is, are there microwaves in the lunchroom for students to use?
No.
I will say that I know some parents have had some success packing
Yes.
like a soup in like the thermoses that keep, you know, or like SpaghettiOs or things like that. So that is something to consider if that's something you think your child will like. And then our next question is, what are the this one's kind of multifaceted. So what are the classroom ratios? How many paras per room? How many children in the small group guided reading? So maybe let's start off with the classroom ratios and the para piece, and then we'll go into guided reading more.
So I don't know, teachers, if you want to answer for this year, and it's pretty, you know, it's always a little tricky. By board policy, we're allowed 20 students in first grade. And this year you guys had about 17, 18.
Yeah, I have 16 in my room now, and I have 1 para in my room this year.
I have 17 with 1 para.
I have 17 with 2 paraprofessionals.
I think it totally depends on the year, depends on how many kids, who you have in your class, but it varies. But I feel like that 1 para to about 16, 17 kids is about average, I'd say. Probably pretty typical.
And then I don't know if any of you would like to talk a little bit about how guided reading looks like, and then, you know, number of students in a small group, how you go about determining those guided reading groups.
Yeah, I think for some of us, I think we try to stick right around like 4 kids maybe in a small group. We really try to group kids based on where they're reading at. So it could be 3 kids, it could be 4 kids, it could be 5 kids. I think we all try to stick to about 4. And really that's just because we can do our best focusing on the skills that they need with that number of students. I know in the past, depending on what kids need, I've also had a group of 6, I've had a group of 2. It really just varies. And I know when we establish our reading groups, they're very fluid. So students will be in groups and then we mix kids. They're always changing. They're growing, they're learning, and the skills that we're practicing are different. So the groups are very fluid. So they might be with some friends for, you know, this month, and then maybe we switch a little and now they're with a couple new friends in a different group. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, but they are very fluid, definitely not locked into a group or area. We're always monitoring what they need next. How are they doing? What's the next thing that we can teach them and practice them?
Yep. And just to add to that, to support what Jen was saying, you know, we teach them as a group, but it's based on a lot of individual needs. So we can really address what your child needs at that time in the school year, you know, within that group. And it's really nice. And the kids enjoy that. You know, they're always asking, oh, is it my turn? Is it my turn to come to group next? They love that time. And usually we have a pretty set routine. For example, I might start, you know, with my kids and we practice some vocabulary words, and then we do some reading together. We might do some writing together, you know, based on what we've read. So it looks a little bit different for each group, depending on what their skill set is. But they all enjoy the time. You know, a lot of times we play games too. That's a really important part of what we do in our learning. We try to make it, you know, as intriguing and as fun as possible. So they really like that group time, and it keeps them up and moving. Again, we try to keep them moving throughout the day. So it's active learning, which they really need at that developmental age.
Any other questions, comments? Any raised hands?
I was gonna say, they can always raise their hand too, right? If they wanna be brave and speak, right?
We do have another question. Someone was asking if you use Class Dojo or something else for daily communication.
I think in a typical year, I think a lot of us this year was a little different. So I think a lot of us got away from the Class Dojo this year, and it was we communicated more via Zoom, or like you guys saw what we were doing, teaching remotely. I know probably next year, probably back to a typical year. I think we'll probably talk as a team, but I'll probably go back to it more with communication. I did enjoy using it, and I know my teammates enjoyed using it, just to update you guys on the pictures and see all the fun activities and learning they do. And I know usually, I think my teammates as well, do some type of like monthly or weekly email and communication to like, hey, this is what we're doing in the curriculum this month, or we send something home that lets you guys know what the kids are learning, which is a great conversation piece for your child. So when you ask them, what did you guys do at school today? They say nothing, like you already know what they're doing. So I know if anyone else wants to speak on that, but I think we'll all probably use that again next year.
And also as a district, sometimes there's always something that teachers can be using that's similar to Class Dojo. Ken, not to put you on the spot, but I don't know if there's something they're looking at different for next year. It often depends on the permissions and the licenses and all of that, so.
Yeah, well, I think we've really integrated Google Classroom, right? I don't know if at first grade level, how much that's been, but probably more than in the past. And there is a lot of communication tools available right in Google right there. Through the classroom stream, you can communicate directly to a student or to the whole class. So that's been predominantly what we've seen in most of the schools as the communication tool. As we've gone remote, to everybody's point, this year is a little bit different than normal times. So yeah, there's a ton of communication tools out there, and we're conscious of making sure those tools have been vetted, on the privacy front, to make sure they're, they're compliant with everything that we need to be compliant with. So yeah, we have some vetted tools out there, and they're available to teachers, and we're always open if a teacher finds a tool that they're interested in to bring it to the district, and we can take a look and see if we can use it.
Thank you. We have more questions coming in. These are wonderful questions, so thank you for your participation. Mrs. Stafford, I'm kind of hoping you might be able to field this next one. Does our school utilize allergy contact cleaning at the playground?
In terms of the like peanut allergies or food allergies, so this year there's been a lot of wiping down of equipment and the balls they use. Honestly, in the past there hasn't been, but if there's any medical concerns like that, then absolutely that would be something that we'd talk about with our school nurse. And we do have a safety team. Our custodian is part of that as well. So you can reach out. I'm not sure who asked, but absolutely reach out to me and I can put you in touch with our school nurse and we can go from there. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to.
And yeah, please feel free to either type back in or raise your hand if you want to verbally expand further if we didn't answer your question correctly.
And I think oh, sorry. I saw another question on there about teachers.
There is. This is always the big question every year, and I think this is a really hard one for us to answer again this year. When will we find out who our child's teacher will be? And we have tried to this past year we were hoping to let families know very early in the summer. However, with the uncertainty of what the school year was going to look like in the fall, and then trying to coordinate cohorts with siblings at different schools, you can probably understand that there was a lot of shifting of our rosters that took place. So even though we had them done very early, it doesn't, the rosters from the end of
Pan
the
out
year
that
do
way.
not look the same as they currently are now. So I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on what school opening looks like next year. But we do try our very, very best to communicate with families as soon as we can. But it is rolled out district-wide as well. So North will be in coordination with all the other elementary schools when those school teacher notifications take place.
And just to that too, Sandown Central was kind enough to send out something from me that I give to our 1st through 4th grade families regarding information on their child to help us for next year planning. So a similar survey was sent to kindergarten. If I'll probably have Central send it out again. Many people did respond, and if you did respond, thank you. Please know that I go through all of them. It's not a time that you request a teacher, but it just gives us a little better idea of your child specific, what goes well, challenges, any concerns you have, things that are important for me to know. I also work really closely, as does Meg, with Jen Marino, and we work really closely if children receive special ed services or on 504 plans. There's really a lot of coordination. Our 1st grade teachers also meet with the kindergarten teachers. We really, it just benefits us, right, to have as much information and be able to set your child up for success at North when we have that collaboration with Central.
And we also just had another question about when the first day of school is for next year. So I did share with that person who asked, I shared the link on our district homepage to the calendars, but we do have our school calendar for next year. And our first day is August 30th as of now. So.
Okay.
So there you go. And this, oh, sorry, Mrs. Stafford.
No, go ahead.
I was going to do the next question. So did you have something on the calendar?
Nope.
Okay. This Zoom meeting is being recorded, and it's more so that if either you want to watch it back again, or if there was a family who could not be present tonight for some reason, and they really wanted to be able to attend, it gives them that ability to be able to access the information. So it's kind of a nice way for us with this technology. There are some silver linings, and that's one of them. Is it makes it more accessible. And then is there, Mrs. Stafford, a parent had asked about a way to fill out the form that you just mentioned that TLC parents did. I would say if that parent contacted the school,
Absolutely.
we can certainly send it. That would be really wonderful.
Yep. So if you want to email me send me an email, nancy.stafford@timberlane.net. You can find me on the website. And I'd be happy to send that survey directly to you. Any other questions? I know we're getting close to 7 o'clock and we've given you a ton of information.
We do have another question. This one I'll field, asking about Title I survey, and if Mrs. Howell sees one. So I'm actually the one who's in charge of Title I. And the way that we typically do it, it's a little different at our school compared to the other district schools, and it's just because of our configuration. So what we'll do in a normal school year is typically we like our Title I teacher to kind of push into grade 1 a little bit and kind of help get the students acclimated, and that'll likely be the goal for next year. Things worked a little differently this year. We kind of kept our same roster from last year and continued those students based on what had occurred in the fall. So the goal will be to probably start off with some kiddos in 1st grade. And Title I typically at our school is grades 1 through 3, but specifically focused on grades 1 and 2. If we can help assist students in grade 3, if we have the staffing available. Our allotment with the grant is only 1 Title I teacher. So as you can imagine, that does limit our ability to be able to reach a number of students. But I think we're pretty creative with how we do things, and we'll certainly be talking as a school and as a team about ways to continue to help support our students. And I do see a raised hand, or I did see a raised hand, but I don't know. It went down, I think. So.
Anything else? Well, again, we appreciate you we know how busy everyone's evenings are, and I want to thank Ken for helping put this together, and certainly to this awesome group of women who work tirelessly and have had a long day, and I appreciate them being on with us tonight. Absolutely, if you have any questions, please reach out. We feel like, again, your kids are our kids now, so please don't hesitate, because I know you'll probably think of things when we finish and in a week from now. So don't hesitate to reach out, and maybe we'll see some of you in the summer. All righty. Good night, everyone. Thanks again.